those who don't know me, I'm Mayor Bill Whalen of Ashland, Wisconsin. And for those who do know me, I'm still Mayor Bill Whalen of Ashland, Wisconsin. Thank you very much for coming this morning. Some of you drove from a very long ways away and got up pretty early to do it, to support this contest and the conference. Thank you very much. I hope you got a chance to enjoy, or do get a chance to enjoy, a little bit of Ashland. Last night, after some had a golf game, we got together down at the hotel at dinner. You're sitting there overlooking the marina, beautiful sunset. How good is that, right? And then I heard how beautiful the city was, and it's no accident. Just like a business, the city plans. Now, if you fail to plan, you're going to plan to fail. And the city back in 2004 did a comprehensive plan, which we religiously follow. It's no accident the city looks like it looks. When we pass anything on the planning commission, that's one of the criteria. Does it meet the qualifications of a comprehensive plan? So just like a good business, the city planned also. In order to say, I want to start going on about the city. I've got an ambassador here that does just a wonderful job. I want to invite Mary Petridge, our executive director of Chamber of, so she can tell you a little bit about what we're doing and what the events are that are being planned. Do you want to be down there or come up here?
I want to be down here. Hi, everybody. Oh, I might do that. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Ashland. How many of you are from out of town? Can you raise your hand? Oh, nice. Well, welcome out of Ashland, Scotty. Welcome to Ashland. Ashland is Lake Superior's hometown, and we are hometown because we want you to feel welcome here when you're visiting Ashland and feel like you kind of grew up here. Our people are very friendly. This is what we hear from our tourists. And we love tourists. We don't get tired of people coming and visiting us. We are the historic mural capital of Wisconsin. We have now 12 life-sized murals that are out in Ashland, so we hope that you get a chance to take a peek at those. If you're staying overnight or staying the weekend or brought your family with you, welcome. You can go so many places here. When you can have, your hub is here in Ashland. Historic downtown has a lot of gift shops and eclectic stores and a wonderful bakery and some coffee shops. And all of our restaurants, aside from fast food, are independently owned and operated. So they all have a unique quality about them. And I just want you to know that today, tomorrow, and Thursday, we're going to experience summer. Yay! Thursday, this is for everybody. Thursday, we are holding our annual golf outing, and we still have room available. So if you are interested in golfing with us, we would love to have you. We're going to be at the beautiful Shawinigan Bay Golf Course. It's an 18-hole championship facility, and fully staffed golf pros. Well, you can't have the golf pro. They're golfing with me on Thursday, just kidding. Anyway, golfing, breakfast, lunch, and dinner is included. You get door prizes, food and beverage, the golf cart, the fees, everything. It's a fun day. So if you're interested, let me know. And then I just want to let you know about a promotion that's coming up. It's called, ready? Follow the Mural Brick Road. And the little tagline is in the county of the land of Ashland. In Ashland County, there are 24 murals, from Butternut all the way up to the Natalie Island Information Center in Bayfield. So we're going to be promoting these murals September, October, and November. We have a GEM grant from the State of Wisconsin Department of Tourism. We're going to have a treasure hunt, and you have to go see the mural in order to answer the question, but you can win money. And so it's going to be a fun promotion. So muralbrickroad.com. For all of you, welcome to the conference, and all of you business contestants that are around, congratulations to the finalists. And you know what? Even if you don't win today, follow your dreams, because you have a passion and a heart for entrepreneurship, so just keep it going. There's so many resources in the area, whether it's local, regional, or state. So thank you for coming, everyone.
Mary has a bundle of energy, and she does a much better job at that than I could. Next will be Steve Betzer. Steve is Vice President of Student Affairs, WITC, and Campus Administrator. He's also been Dean of Students. He was Director of North Central Technical College. In education, he has a doctorate in education. He also has an MBA from UW Oshkosh with a science degree in hotel and restaurant management. And let's see, there was a little note here I got to look this up. I was getting it earlier because they saw that degree in hotel management. It says the kitchen would like you back in to remove the rolls here after you're talking. Give you Steve.
Thank you. Probably more information than you wanted to know about me, but again, I'm Steve Dutzer. I'm the Ashland Campus Administrator for WITC Ashland Campus, but also the Vice President of Student Affairs for the college. So for those of you who aren't familiar with WITC, we have 4 campuses: Ashland, Superior, New Richmond, and Rice Lake. So what I'd like to do is really just welcome all of you to the Ashland campus. We're just really proud to be able to host this conference each year. I personally look forward to this conference because there's really great information. It's also extremely energizing for me to see all the great ideas that bubble up from this conference. It's also an exciting time of the year for us at WITC. Next Friday, actually a week from today, we have our new student orientation, so our students all come back and we start another school year. And that's always an exciting time. And again, it's hard to believe summer's over and we're to that point where school starts again. But that's the best time, and that's the time of the year where we get energized and we get excited about all the new things that we have at the college, and to invite all the new students back so that they can learn their chosen career and all the things that they want to become, and kind of follow their dreams so that they can get out to the community and do the important work of supporting business and industry in our area. So that's what we do, and I'm very excited about that. So one thing I wanted to mention, we do have some exciting upgrades on our campus, and if you get an opportunity to walk on the other side of the building, you'll see a lot of construction going on. So take a peek inside some of those labs that we're working on. We have upgrades to our marine repair lab, upgrades to our machine tool lab, upgrades to our early childhood education classroom laboratory area, and upgrades to our welding lab as well. So exciting times here. I can't wait to have all the students come back and see all of our upgrades and get to work. So with that, beautiful day today in Ashland. Welcome everyone. Welcome to our campus. Hope you have a great day here. And we have another outstanding agenda, so we'll get right to it and move on to the first item on the agenda. So thank you.
Next one, we'll have Dave Vedder. Dave is Director of Engineering at CT Building Manufacturing. He's on the Board of Directors of Wisconsin Technology Council. He's on the governance board of the Ashland Charter School System process. He's a past business owner of Kramer Brass Foundry. Dave.
Is that sound okay? I'll just start with a short story. Last night we were having dinner, and I'm hearing all these people. They're talking to me and they're saying, Rob West, he's a really good speaker. Talked to another person, Rob West, he's a really good speaker. And I talked to his wife and she says, Rob's a really good speaker. And I thought, oh gosh, there's one thing I'm thankful for. I get to go before you.
Let's withhold judgment.
Okay. All right, well, thanks for being here. I really appreciate everybody's involvement here. Well, I wanted to start with our WIN team. This is the team that really was able to get this all going. There's an awful lot of energy and a lot of time to make this work and to make it kind of look seamless, and very thankful for that. And I just wanted to actually ask a lot of our team members just to stand up and say thanks for all of your time, all of your effort. If you just stand up real quick, and I'd really appreciate that. Thank you to all these great team members. we're actually just many groups that work together. And that's what we have to do in a small community. And it's been, very successful. I can tell you it's been a great experience for me. And I think it's actually good for the community as well. So I also want to thank a lot of other folks. We had an entrepreneurs boot camp. Tom Still, Dan Blake, Mark Ehrman, and Molly Lahr came to town. We took all of our people from our business idea contest. We went through a series of simulations, going through giving speeches, and they got some really good feedback. And that was after last year. That was really one of the things that we said we wanted to do better. We said, next year, when people are in this contest, our job is to help them, be better at what they do and to support them. So we said this year, let's do a better job and let's help these entrepreneurs much more. And so that everything really worked out well there. So we have some business idea contest sponsors. Very thankful for that, because we've got about $5,000 of contest money to give out. And we have a lot of conference sponsors as well, and very thankful to all the judges, panelists, exhibitors, speakers, and anyone else that I didn't mention. Okay, just a few logistics. What I like to do is make sure that your phones, if you could put them on silent, I would appreciate that. And if you want to use the internet, it's WITC Public. Anybody during the day, if you need to have access, and you do not need a password. WITC Public. So today next we go to our keynote speaker, we have our panel discussions, lunch, and then we have our business idea contest in the afternoon. We do have 3 types of awards. We have our business idea contest, first, second, and third, and that's $5,000. We have a green award that will be presented by, I don't know, what group would I call that, Ted? Sustainability. Okay. And then we also, you as an audience will also be given one of these sheets, and later on, and then you'll be able to vote on who you think is the best business idea. We will collect those after the presentations, and then we'll also give another award, $250 award for that. So everybody here is going to be participating as well. And again, we always appreciate your feedback. We have feedback forms, and we do, as Mary McFetcher said, want to be, welcome you. We want this to be a good experience for you. So if you have some experience, some feedback, and it's just a couple words of advice, we'd be more than happy to take it. And if you want to send me an email and tell me if you have send it that way, I'll take it in any way, in any shape and form. So I'd like to make a commitment that we're going to stay on schedule today. And so we said that we'd be done by 3:30, and we fully expect to stay on schedule. So this is just from this past year, from the WinLS perspective, some of the things that we accomplished. Well, we had our first business idea contest, and we said that the following year we wanted to be better at supporting the contestants. We have a new website, and we continue to build our infrastructure. We've identified and supported local entrepreneurs, 11 of them. We've been tracking them and giving them support as much as we can. And follow up from the last year's contest, and we've been spending a lot of time looking at broadband research. So next year, probably continue to do a lot of the same things. But we noticed that there's a little bit of a gap, and that's in the area of angel and venture capital. We would like to get a little bit better and close that gap this following year. That's one of the things that we said that we would like to spend some time on. And so we're also going to continue to seek opportunities for the technology part. And we'll plan to have another conference in 2014. And if anybody here is interested in being a member of our group, please stop by, and happy to talk to you about it. So do you have any questions? Is there anything that Questions about the conference, the logistics, anything at all? Okay, then what I'd like to do is introduce Scotty Sandstrom. Scotty is, again, a member of the WIN LS Group, as well as he's the director of the Bayfield County Economic Development Corporation, and he will introduce our main speaker.
Well, the old paradigm in sales is where the salesperson visits the client. The salesperson sits on one side of the table and the client sits on the other side of the table. And that's generally referred to as a salesperson showing up and throwing up. But the new paradigm that I heard a few years ago at a sales meeting was by a presenter that said, you know, what you need to do is you need to sit on the side of the table, and then you need to be close enough to see that person's socks. So the above relates, I'm going to just put this down. So the above paradigm, it relates to the salesperson building a partnership with the client and earning the right to have a relationship, building relationship with the client so that there will be a mutually beneficial outcome. And our keynote speaker, Rob West, truly sees the value in building strong relationships. His educational background, he holds both a BA and an MBA from Western Michigan University, and he's been an adjunct instructor in the graduate program at the University of St. Thomas in Minneapolis from 1988 to 1996. More recently, an adjunct instructor in the School of Business Economics at UMD, Duluth, from January 2003 to May 2004. From 1976 through 1992, he led 3 communication firms, ad agencies in the Rockford, Illinois, and Minneapolis, Minnesota area. From 92 to 97, he worked in business consulting and strategic planning, implementing strategies for Amoco, Chevron, University of Minnesota, and others. In 1997, West founded a housewares company where he raised $10 million in private capital, obtained 13 U.S. patents and 6 international patents, plus placed the company's products in Home Depot, Target, Bed Bath & Beyond, and several other retail chains. He sold that company in 2002. From May 2004 to July 2012, he was the president and CEO of the Area Partnership for Economic Expansion, APEX, from Duluth. And that is where I first crossed paths with Rob West in the fall of 2011. As our BCEDC, we have been partnering with APEX since January 2012 through the present. APEX is a private sector, not-for-profit, entrepreneurial business and economic development corporation in northeast Minnesota and northwest Wisconsin. Rob developed the business plan and overall strategy for APEX. In 8 years, he was responsible for the recruitment, retention, and expansion of businesses that resulted in over 2,700 jobs within the market area with an annual payroll of over $106 million. Instrumental in recruiting in Volta, AAR, Enbridge, and many other companies to the Twin Ports. He conceived and introduced a strategic consulting program to assist regional businesses with finance, capital, turnarounds, general management, marketing, and manufacturing logistics. APEX is now the leading and most respected business and economic development brand in the region. He resigned after 8 years of service to return to the private sector. And then from September 2012 to the present, he's been the Chief Executive Officer of GPM Incorporated, an $18.8 million privately held heavy-duty pump manufacturing firm. He was hired to develop a management team and succession plan, plus to develop the overall strategy to grow this business to $35 million within a five-year period. Rob is a true entrepreneur. He has grown companies, still active in that, and he has the ability to grow company employees to their very best potential. As I said earlier, I'm very thankful that my paths have crossed Rob West. And I know you will enjoy his energy and the insight about entrepreneurship that he will share this morning. Welcome to our conference, Rob West.
Take just a minute to get set up here. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm not going to use the mic. Can you hear me fine in the back? Great. I was a tactical training officer in the Army back in the late 60s, so you have two things. You have a big voice, and you can run, and since I'm short, I got to grasp a lot of tall people, which is a great joy. Scotty, thank you for that introduction. You need to know that was written by my mom. How to grow and nurture entrepreneurs. That was the title that was given to me to work with today. And I have to tell you, I spent about 20 hours. This is the first talk I've ever been paid for in my entire career. This is it. So I spent 20 hours preparing for this, and it worked out to $10 an hour. And I really hope I wasn't overpaid. So it's good to be here. Being a serial entrepreneur is a lot like having a disease. In reality, once it's into your system, it just never, ever goes away. Even with extended bouts of adversity, serious failures, lost income, depression, hardship, continuous pain, and agony, the true serial entrepreneur somehow always figures out a way to survive because of his core beliefs that one day that entrepreneur will be eminently successful and he will realize his own personal dreams or her dreams. The fuels that drive successful entrepreneurs are passion, fear of failure, which is a huge driver. They have laser focus, the ability to connect the dots, along with a huge dose of competitiveness that lives deep within their souls, their very bones from which they exist. I'm reminded of this cartoon, which you've already seen. It says, there it is again, the invisible hand of the marketplace giving us the finger. If you're an entrepreneur, you live this daily with product failures, competition, regulations, all kinds of things that impact how successful you and your business will be. As I said, neither one of these guys gave up, I'm sure. They're still working hard to compete, be effective, and realize their dreams. From my micro-macro view, U.S. Census 2012, population U.S., 314 million. You see Wisconsin, of course. Our region that we're talking here about, Bayfield, Ashland, Douglas counties, 74,876 people. The percentage over age 65 in this region is 16.9%. That's a full 3.2% over the national average. I see real opportunity here because of the fact that seniors, many of us, reinvent themselves over and over and over again. 36% of all workers believe they'll have to keep working after they retire. And so a lot of folks who are retiring are looking at new ways to reinvent themselves and ways to supplement their income. Not necessarily because they want to, but because they have to. And we know that, for example, 36% who believe they won't have enough money to retire. We know that, let me put this next slide here, 7.9% of all new businesses are started by people over age 65. So I suggest to you, as we think about entrepreneurs, what do we think about? We think about young, aggressive, bright, intelligent, big idea people. But I'm saying there's another segment here that may be worth looking at as we go forward. And that's the older person in our society who has what? Experience, probably access to some capital, and certainly a need to keep working. Interesting statistic on NPR the other day. 20 years from now, the person next to you on your left and your right or yourself 1 out of 3 of you will have either Alzheimer's or severe dementia. 1 out of 3. Isn't that a scary thing? Now, we also know, though, that people that stay engaged and work out physically and watch their diet can cut that risk by 50%. So what I'm saying is we're extending this life cycle, this work life cycle that we have. So entrepreneurs aren't necessarily 31 years old. They can be 67 years old or 72 years old or whatever it happens to be. And we need to keep that in mind as we go forward. Macroeconomic view of establishments, private, non-farm, Wisconsin region, etc. You can see that. I don't need to read it to you. But down here, under non-employer establishments, 4,850 in our region. Non-employer establishments. Who knows what those are? Anybody from?
Self-employed.
Pardon?
Self-employed.
Self-employed. That's exactly right. They're self-employed people. Total firms down here, 6,851. And I suggest to you that probably 99% of those are absolutely entrepreneurial businesses. And you have these self-employed people dominating about, roughly 70% of the total, which is staggering. So lots and lots of activity going on in entrepreneurism here in this region. I'm reminded of the story of, when I think about entrepreneurs, they are just typically incredibly optimistic people. They believe in themselves, they believe in the future, they're excited, they're energetic. And some psychologists were trying to determine the difference between an optimist and a pessimist. So they looked at children, and they found a little boy who was about 6 years old, who was just pessimistic. This kid was Eeyore, if you've read Winnie the Pooh, just a depressed little kid most of the time. So they put this child in a room with a two-way mirror and a television camera and filled the room with brand new toys. Lots of electronic games and toys to play with. And they watched him, and within 5 minutes, this child had tears streaming down his cheek and dejected and looking at the floor. And they went in and they said, "What's going on? Why are you so sad?" And the little kid said, "Well, all the toys in here, I can't decide which one to play with." They found another little boy who was just happy and optimistic all the time. And they put this child in a room full of horse manure. And within 5 minutes, this little kid's on top of the pile of horse manure, throwing it in the air and whistling and having a great time. They went in and said, "Why are you so happy?" And the child said, "Look, with all this horse manure, there's got to be a pony in here someplace." That, my friends, is an entrepreneur. There is a pony in there someplace. And they will dig through manure forever to find it. Because they're competitive, because they believe in themselves, and they just want so much to be successful. Those are core drivers for entrepreneurs. There are 4 kinds of entrepreneurs. First is the social entrepreneur. And this is the person that starts a business because of a core belief. A core belief. Apex was started in a way as a social entrepreneur enterprise. It's a not-for-profit, a 501c6, could be a 501c3. Those are the 2 designations that impact your tax status, so there is no federal or state income tax. But social entrepreneurs are believers in a cause. And this is what drives them. I'm reminded of Jerry Garcia. Who knows in here who Jerry Garcia is? Who doesn't know who Jerry Garcia is? Aha! That's good. Otherwise my joke wouldn't work. Jerry Garcia founded the Grateful Dead. It was a rock band founded in 1976 in Palo Alto, California. And they use a lot of electronics, and they combine gospel and rock and bluegrass all into their music. And Jerry Garcia is very colorful. You still find his ties. You can find his ties in fine stores everywhere because he was also an artist. But here's what he said. Jerry Garcia said, "Something has to be done, and isn't it pathetic that we're the ones that have to do it?" Yeah, that is a social entrepreneur's mantra. It has to be done, and we're the ones that have to do it. Those Those are the drivers that appeal to the social entrepreneur. And they can be incredibly, incredibly successful. Vinoba Bhatt, founder and leader of the land gift movement, caused the redistribution of 7 million acres of land in India to untouchables and landless. Dr. Maria Montessori Schools, founded that concept in France. John Muir, this one's close to home for us, naturalist and conservationist, he established the National Park System and helped found the Sierra Club. Now today with go-get mining and what's going on in our region here, with our Native American friends and this entire region in upper Wisconsin, there's a yin and a yang to everything, and I'm sure the Sierra Club will be active here, as they should be. That's part of their passion as well. Jean Monnet, responsible for the reconstruction of the French economy, led to the founding of the European Common Market. And of course, the Development Association over in Superior, the Ashland Area Development Corporation right here, Bayfield Economic Development Corporation, where Scotty is, and of course Apex. And I need to acknowledge my good friend Alyssa Hansen, who is from Apex. We had the pleasure of working together for, 15 years? Just seemed like, yeah, for 4 years, and just a gifted person among all of you who work in economic development. The second type of entrepreneur is the lifestyle entrepreneur. This is a person that loves canoes. So they go in the canoe making business. And they will hire 5, 6, 7, 10 people and can be incredibly successful. Scotty tells me we've got a person coming out on 8 acres across from the auto dealership who's going in the sauna business, who builds, tell us about that, Scotty. How many, this person is worldwide renowned for building saunas, and he's coming to Bayfield, right?
Well, he already is a current business in Bayfield County.
Okay.
He wants to expand because he's got 2 different spots where he has his business. He's going to build a new building under one roof right across from Ashland Ford Chrysler, and plan to have it as part of the Bayfield County Business Park. So it's exciting. We'll have some new tax revenue in the town of Eileen for Bayfield County, and so it'll be a blend of agriculture and business in that area.
We've got site, we've got business, we've got capital, we've got a lifestyle entrepreneur with real passion for what they do. And how many people will he employ, you know?
He employs 10 or 12 now. He'll add probably another 3 people when he gets there. And he's one of the top 5 to 10 manufacturers, distributors of saunas in the U.S.
Wow, very exciting. Those 15 jobs probably average $30,000 a year with benefits. Payroll of $450,000, multiplier effect in this region is 2.5. That's $1 million impact that gets spent over and over and over and over right here in this region with a lifestyle entrepreneur. It's incredibly exciting for this region. These kinds of people, these lifestyle entrepreneurs are passionate, and they want to turn their passion into a profit that can support their lifestyle. We find them all over this region. Hundreds, including companies like Ancient Wood, right here in Ashland. I think it's called Kari. Is that the correct term for the wood? 50,000 years old. Classic. John Grunrow is the guy that runs that, and came out of the cabinetry business. Wolfsong Clothing over in Bayfield, another good example. John and Mary Thiel in Superior, IDS Waterjet Cutting, a new company that's just growing like crazy. I'm very familiar with that one because it was started by the founder of the business I work for, Pete Gaminden, who put that business in Superior, and not Minnesota, by the way, which is very interesting. By the way, if you get a chance, Business North this week came out with our Angels Take Flight, Go to Wisconsin. In Minnesota, they ended the refundable tax credit program, so we're already hearing from Minnesota investors who, because of that, want to shop for more deals in Wisconsin. That was said by Tom Sill, president of the Wisconsin Technical Council, on July 8th. Minnesota's for sale, by the way. We're cheap. So we were talking about North Dakota. They have a $2.8 billion surplus. They've got the nukes, they got the oil, we got the water. So anyway. The lifestyle entrepreneur is probably the fastest growing segment of all entrepreneurism in the U.S., particularly among young people who have a very, very different value system than the system that I grew up with. They're very focused on lifestyle is far more important than the job and the career. That's just how they think. So there's going to be plenty of opportunities. This third group, the serial entrepreneur, these are the crazies in terms of entrepreneurism. These people just are zealots in terms of what they like to do. They're the most driven of the bunch. They often make huge personal sacrifices, including their personal lives, their marriages. They can be married 3-4 times. It's not uncommon with this kind of entrepreneur because they're so driven and so focused on their business success, they neglect their personal life. And that happens a lot, unfortunately. They too want to be their own boss, just like the lifestyle entrepreneur, and they have a very hard time with authority, which makes a lot of sense. They display a propensity to recover from both personal and business failures, and they're usually never lacking for self-esteem. They love to talk about themselves, they love to talk about their business, and I classify them as a serial entrepreneur is a person who is seldom right, but never in doubt. And that's generally true. They do not lack for brass or self-confidence. They're often in it for the big play. And this happens occasionally where they want to hit the ball out of the park, and I'll come back to that in a minute. But you do have people like that, and they're people like Steve Jobs. I mean, he was classic. I don't know if you've read his book, but there's some wonderful insights about entrepreneurs and how they think and what they do found in that wonderful, wonderful book. You'll find serial entrepreneurs are often in for the big play, but there are many who are not. Many who are just good, stable businessmen. And I worked for one, a guy named Pete Gaminden at JPM Pump. I've known Pete for 10 years. He had some management issues and asked me to come in, and I just signed a 2-year contract to work for Pete to set up the succession plan, because it takes that long. But here, we have Breading, good example. Very entrepreneurial company, employing 450 people, a huge economic driver in this region. And so often, people, we focus on the new entrepreneur. Let us not forget the ones that are already here. Do we have a good call program, going out and talking to these people, whether it's Breading or whomever, and saying, how are things going? How can we be a better partner? What is it that you need? Whether it's a curb cut and a stoplight, or whatever, or a piece of property, or a permit, or whatever it is, by gosh, take darn good care of those serial entrepreneurs that are running successful businesses. If I had $1, I'd spend 20 cents of it on recruiting new entrepreneurs, and 80 cents making darn sure the ones I have are still here, and stay here, and feel welcome here, and will grow here, and will continue to create jobs here. Very, very important. Washburn Iron, another classic. World-class precision over at Bayfield, S&S Specialty in Iron River. And a great new example is Alan Plattmeyer over at Superior with Kestrel Aircraft. He was one of the original founders of Cirrus. And again, a very, very passionate person. This group creates probably the most new jobs, and there are lots of opportunities, particularly here in management succession. That's what I'm doing for Pete Gaminden, frankly, is helping him set up a management succession plan. You know, there's a thing called third-generation management syndrome. Anybody familiar with that? What is it?
Usually by the third generation, they're looking at bailing out or else they bought out someone else. Their interests are different, but they're living through your life and they just don't want to happen.
That's exactly right. First generation builds the company, serial entrepreneur. Second generation, they sustain. Third generation tends to lose it all. For a variety of reasons, but they just don't have the passion or the interest. Pete Gaminden understands this. So his challenge is, how do we find professional management, recruit, incent that person to stay because he wants another entrepreneur but wants to retain control of the business. Very interesting. So this guy's sitting in his office, fabulous, successful serial entrepreneur, huge walnut desk, knock at the door. He says, come in. It's his son. He said, son, what are you doing here? And the kid says, Dad, I just graduated from college. Dad says, great, after 9 years you got your degree. I'm so proud of you. What are you going to do with your life? And the kid says, well, geez, I don't know. You got any thoughts? And the dad says, look, I own this business, I started this business, I built this business, it's a successful business, and I will give you 50% of the equity in this company. You can have half of this business if you want to join us. Kid says, Dad, that'd be great, what will I do? Dad says, I want to put you in sales. You're going to love sales. You'll learn about our competition, you'll learn our product, you'll learn our markets. The kid says, Dad, I'm not very good with people. Dad said, yeah, you're right. Finance, you'll be great in finance. Dad, the kid says, Dad, remember, I'm not very good with numbers. Dad said, yeah, all right. Manufacturing, learn how we build this product, how we make it. And the kid says, Dad, remember, I'm not very good with my hands. Well, by this time, the dad's really getting frustrated. And he says to the kid, what do you think you ought to do? Kid thinks for a minute, gets a big smile, and says, Dad, I got a great idea. Dad says, what? Kid says, why don't you buy me out? Oh, well, that's great. We have 2 daughters, and they didn't work for me, I'll tell you. They would have wanted her to buy out too, but whatever. Anyway, I'm estimating that about 30% of closely held businesses here in this region, this is important, 30% of the closely held entrepreneurial, serial entrepreneur, and lifestyle entrepreneur businesses in this region have management that are 55 years old and older. Now, we're all focused on the new, the young, and the bright, and that's good and that's right. But what about that 30% of our local economy that's being run by people that are my age and older? We've got to spend some time, some energy, and some resources thinking about management succession. You can start right here at WITC, frankly. Good seminars, and there are speakers from all over the country that can speak to succession planning, estate planning, tax consequences, all of those kinds of issues, maintaining a culture. My own boss, Pete Gaminden, is very concerned about maintaining the culture. 27% of our payroll benefits people. 27%. We had 0 turnover rate last year. Here's an interesting statistic. It costs $6,500 to retrain an American worker. That's average. Now that includes everything from working in McDonald's to working at Bread. That's the average. And I can assure you it's probably 3 times that at Bread. It's very, very expensive. In Alabama, the turnover rate is 16%. Take 100 employees, 16 of them turn over in a year, average $6,000, do the math. Do the math, it's $100,000 right off the bottom line. Now here in this region, the average turnover rate among major manufacturers is 2% or less. Part of that is driven because of economic fear that we've accumulated over the last 100 years since mining and lumber and shipping, which was very, very cyclical and volatile. So people in our region tend to get a good job. They say, hold on to that job, boy, that's important, because it could all change. So we have this incredible work ethic. But that is a huge strength to play. When you're recruiting, whether it's entrepreneurs or other businesses to come onto our region, play that labor card and point out the cost that paid off in spades with AAR Flight Services that now employs about 200 people in the Old Northwest maintenance building over in Duluth. I'll come back to that in a minute. But think about that, and think about the succession opportunity that we have here. My guess is that 30% represents between 1,200 and 1,500 workers in this region and an annual payroll of $30 to $40 million of businesses that have entrepreneurs that are 50 plus, 55 plus in closely held and privately held corporations. That's a huge opportunity for all of you and what you do. I'm not diminishing what we're doing with the new entrepreneur. That's very important too. And we'll come back to that in a second. But just a caution. Okay. Finally, the fourth entrepreneur, here's the entrepreneur by necessity. You already know what that means. These are the people that have lost their jobs and are having a very difficult time finding something new. So they go into business for themselves. At 4,600 on slide number 3 here, many of those folks are in handyman work or construction or roofing or siding, or they opened a body shop or whatever they do, or even a small machine shop, whatever they did, because they couldn't find a good job elsewhere. But they want to stay here. They love to hunt, they love to fish, they love the lifestyle, they love the lake, and they're an important part of our economy. But they're entrepreneurs by necessity. And sometimes they get the bug, and they say, geez, I wish I'd have done this 50 years ago. And you've all heard that from people that started their own business because they had to. Lots of consultants are in that genre as well. All right. So, did y'all get that? All right. So what are the top 10 characteristics for entrepreneurs of all kinds? They're disciplined. They are disciplined. Now their office may look like a disaster, but in their heads they've got all kinds of things going on all the time. And they're very disciplined in terms of what their mission and vision is. And they live it, and they breathe it, and they'll die with it. Entrepreneurs tend to be very confident people. They believe, and thank golly they do, because they are their best advocate. They will get turned down for financing again and again and again and again, and they start businesses with Visa and MasterCard and the 3 F's. Friends, families, and fools. And they tap us all for funding, and they do. They're open-minded. They're always looking at possibilities. They're very much a self-starter, and as you would assume, and incredibly competitive. And most of the successful ones I know are about 5'6". No, it's just the it's a competitive thing. Yeah, it's a little man syndrome. I don't know. Anyway, they're creative, always looking for new, and not necessarily because they can draw or whatever. I'm talking about creative in the way that they problem solve. And they're good critical thinkers. Determined, people skills is 8, but also that is a big issue. I mean, we all know very, very successful entrepreneurs that have horrible people skills. The classic is Henry Ford. The guy was just horrible with people skills. He was maniacal, but built this enormous, enormous enterprise. Work ethic, they've got it. And finally, number 10, not necessarily in that order, but they are passionate. These are people that honestly believe in what they're doing, and they just go to their grave that way. What are the causes for failure? And this, by the way, can happen at any stage of that entrepreneur's life cycle. Whether they're 50 or 15 or whatever, no written plan. They wing it. I work for a guy, Pete Commended, who's so intuitive and has had amazing luck. And I tell him that. You know, we all start businesses, we're successful, we think, aren't we smart? Man, I'll tell you, luck has a lot to do with it. And I was telling Mike earlier, in 1997, when I founded this housewares company called Westerland Products, we invented these products, and we got them into Home Depot and into Target, Bed Bath & Beyond, and Linens and things, blah, blah, blah. But we went into Target stores and worked with them for 2 years, putting together a customized package. And what we had was a closet makeover kit. The shelving system we had expanded and contracted on the horizontal axis, so you didn't have to cut it. This way, boom. This way, boom, boom, boom. You get married, you get divorced. I mean, that's how. I wouldn't know. I only get married. But it was a neat product, and it was easy to get placements. But Target said, look, we're going to do an in-and-out test program with our own closet makeover kit. And you can do this whole closet with one tool, a Phillips screwdriver. If you want to put a level on it, great. If you want to eyeball it, that's fine. Just zip, zip, put the shelf in, boom, boom, fits any dimension. And it had a console with drawers, and you could hang clothes and all this stuff. So Target has this in-and-out program where you guarantee the margins. And they keystone everything. This glass cost $1 in Target. They pay 50 cents for it. Their target is 50% margin. It's called Keystone. So they said, look, we'll put your product in, we're going to keystone it, we want it to be price pointed at $99, under that 100 mark, that magic number, $99.95, and we're going to make 50 bucks on every unit we sell, and you're going to guarantee our margins. So if it doesn't sell like they think it's going to sell, they discount it. From 100 bucks, they'll take it down, they'll discount it 20% to 80. They see how it sells. Then they'll take another 20 off and 60. They see how it sells. And they discount down to 50 bucks. They blow it out. And even if it has to go to 40 bucks, you pay them the $10 plus the 50 bucks. So you guarantee they're going to get their margins. This thing has been selling great at Home Depot, Bed Bath & Beyond. We said, hey, piece of cake, we'll do that. Plus, we've got Target circulars, we've got the Target brand, we've got the Target makeover kit. This thing's just going to sell like crazy. So I invested $1.4 million in product placement to go into Target. And we put another $1.4 million in inventory because this thing is going to sell with so velocity that we're going to have to be shipping it out and refilling the store. Great. Target said, we'll put you in 360 stores, and if it sells like we all believe it will, we'll give you an order for $15 million, Rob. Well, were we excited? What? So we did. And I hired a crew to set the stores. That's where you go and put up the displays, put up the point of purchase, put the product in the market. We put them all in and we stocked all those stores, 360 Target stores, on September 9th, 2001. 9/11 is 2 days later. Who's thinking about closets? Duct tape, plastics, water, canned goods, whatever. Nobody was thinking about closets. And I've got 1.6 million in inventory, and I'm guaranteeing the margins of 1.6 million. You're living the dream, boom. Just like that. Anybody know what the term force majeure means? Force majeure in a contract? Anybody? Acts of God, acts of war, which can sometimes get you out of a contract because it's beyond your control. We did not have force majeure in our contract with Target. So we took the hit. So I spent the next 6 months going crazy. And we have eventually sold that building, but those of us that invested big time, we took a hit. And that's okay. Because that's part of the risk. And entrepreneurs are risk takers. You don't think about the downside of anything. You're always trying to think about the upside. Because that's what keeps your juices going. And you fight through adversity. Remember, there it is again, the fickle finger for the marketplace? Well, yeah, that's what happened to us. But we got it sold. We got all the vendors and all the bankers paid off. But the shareholders took a huge hit. And for me, it was another MBA. Entrepreneurs are optimistic. There's a pony in there someplace. Exactly. Poor revenue. My golly. We're so focused on the product. This is a real challenge. Entrepreneurs get so focused on their product, whatever it is, they forget about revenue. They forget about selling. They forget about marketing. They forget about margins. They think, oh my gosh, I'm going to tweak the product, tweak the product, tweak the product. Lee Iacocca, in his book called Iacocca, said you can be approximately right 80% of the time and you'll hit it out of the park. In other words, get it 80% right and go. Don't tweak it anymore. Entrepreneurs are classic at tweaking stuff and they forget about selling the product. Poor revenue, no profit, they die. Limited opportunities. They have a big idea and they think it's a big idea, but they don't think about market potential. So it kills them. Poor execution. Again, too many issues. Those could be personal, those could be business. Stiff competition, always an issue for the entrepreneur. No intellectual property. It's a travesty. We do not have an intellectual property firm here in our region, people. We should be down in Madison. Who's the leading IP lawyers down there? And say, look, 2 days a week, let's run a branch office out of Ashland, or Bayfield, or Superior, or wherever. So we have access to IP. Now on our product, the 13 patents and the 6 internationals, we had both design patents and utility patents. Utility is how it works. Design, how it looks. We covered both sides. Design patents are not as strong because I can make this silver and heavier and whatever changing. It's the utility patent that is the real value. But poor IP kills a lot of entrepreneurial businesses. Inexperienced team. Remember, entrepreneurs hate authority. So they seldom hire people with strong personalities that will argue with them and tell them they're full of beans when they're full of beans. They tend to hire people who, what? Praise them, support how they think, how they feel. And that's a classic error. So they're not always getting good advice. Limited resources, obvious. Everybody else, capital, capital, capital. Well, that is an issue. But good creative entrepreneurs figure that out. Poor marketing, i.e. sales, and giving in. They quit too early. They get discouraged. Another big idea comes along, and they're like a golden retriever in a tennis court with 50 balls. Get this one, get this one, get this one, get this one. Most entrepreneurs have ADD. I'm absolutely convinced. Prosperity is always just around the corner, and that's what keeps it going. So the big score. This is what Westerling was. We had intellectual property, we had capital, we had success, we were driving revenues. We said, whoa, this is a grand slam home run. And we had, this is what's crazy about this, in 2001 is when 9/11 hit. Just 5 months before that, we were at the home show in Chicago, and we had this enormous booth because we wanted to look really successful. Perception's everything, right? So we had this great booth, and in walked a company called Closet Made, and I'm trying to remember the guy's name, Rob Warner, I think, and he said, we want to buy your company. I said, well, give me an LOI, a letter of intent. And he said, okay, and he went back, talked to his board, and they gave us an LOI letter of interest. They weren't quite ready to go the intent yet. So we took it to our board, and we said, look, we got a multiple of 3. You put in $1, I'll get you 3 back if you sell this company. Revenues are like a hockey stick. Whoa! Home Depot, Menards, Targets in the wings, bam, bam, bam. Ah, this thing's worth a lot more than 3x. Duh. 5, 6 months later, we're in the tank. And we're scrambling. But we thought we had the grand slam. And I think we probably did. And again, that word, luck. Luck happens. Good and bad. Only 5%. Alan Plattmeyer's odds of success with the new Kestrel single-engine, 7-place turboprop aircraft of hitting it out of the park is 5%. But for most serial entrepreneurs, that's enough. Because they believe, oh, I'm smart, man. I'm smarter than the other 19 people. I'll get it done. And sometimes they do. But the odds are not good. And what we need to do in economic development is to make sure they understand that. We need to make sure they understand that and they have good examples. The statistics. Great resource, people. If you're involved in any kind of entrepreneurism, go to the Kauffman Foundation. Just Google Kauffman, and they're there. Great resource to understand entrepreneurs and how they think and what the statistics are. 55% of all new businesses fail. I think those are great odds. 45% don't. My gosh, if you could bat 450 in the big leagues, talk about an A-Rod contract over and over again. I mean, that's unbelievable. The SBA reports that small businesses create 60 to 80% of all new jobs, and 95% of the entire workforce in the United States works for companies with less than 500 employees. And the majority of those, unless they're medical companies or high-tech or involved somehow in the internet, have less than 500 people. So small business is the core. And your focus on the small business environment, I think, is dead on. We've got all kinds of resources here in northern Wisconsin. We've got timber, great water, minerals, tourism, telecom, low-cost power. You know what a kilowatt costs in New York? What is it, Liz? Do you remember?
Like 4 to 6 times ours.
Yeah, I think it's 24 cents. Yeah. And we're what here? 8.5? 9? Yeah. So when you're recruiting and you're looking at entrepreneurs and if they need a lot of juice, a lot of power, what a great advantage. Low turnover, great education system for training, low cost power, plenty of water, lots of benefits. Decent transportation, rail's a little iffy, but we can get to it. Great workforce and an exceptional support network. Been all over this country, people, in entrepreneurism, and we really have a great network, and I'm going to come back to that in just a minute. So let's do a big idea. It's called Norcorp. Norcorp. I thought it'd be kind of fun, rather than, to kind of get you all engaged here. I'm way the heck, I'm on page 18, I think. Hang on. The big idea, Norcorp. Okay, here it is. Norcorp. Here's the background. Cheap wines are my hobby. If it's over 10 bucks, unless you're buying, I don't know. Okay, we have a thing called cork taint. Anybody ever hear of cork taint? Okay, it's a broad term that defines or refers to wine fault, where the wine has this musty flavor to it. I don't know, maybe you've had it. Well, that's called, and it's really caused by a fungus that is in the air. The spores are in the air, and they get into the cork, either the cork in the wine bottle, and they create a chemical here called trichloroanisole. Trichloroanisole, cork taint. So what happens is, these spores get into cork, and they get into live cork. And most of the cork in the world comes from around the Mediterranean. It comes from Spain, etc., those countries where they grow cork trees. And they harvest the tree, and then they take that cork and they make the cork that are used in bottles. Well, cork taint has become a big issue. And the other big issue is what? We've harvested way too many cork trees. So the price of cork has gone way up. So what's transpired is more and more bottlers of wine are going to either a metal cap, which for most of us still has a little stigma because it reminds us of Mad Dog 2020 and Boone's Farm. Two of my favorite wines, by the way. And so the other thing, they developed a plastic cork, and you've seen them. It's hard plastic, closed cell polyethylene foam, and they compress it down, put it in the bottle, and that's replaced the cork. What's the problem with that? It's environmentally unsound. It does not decompose. It's going to be there just like phone books and diapers. Years and years and years from now, we're going to find landfills of corks, because I drink a lot of cheap wine. So anyway, why Norcorp, why not? Well, what is Norcorp? Here's the idea. What do we got back on our resource list? Right here. Number one, what is it? Timber. Okay? So Norcorp, this big idea is to take sawdust, compress it through an extrusion machine, using the natural lignin in the machine, which holds it together, putting in some cellulose, natural fiber from trees, making a spongy Norcorp right here in Ashland, Wisconsin, and we can create this whole new business to make wine corks. Wow, what a great idea. Huge market potential. 31 billion corks are needed a year worldwide. You know what the fastest growing wine market in the world is? China. All those middle class folks. The middle class in China is bigger than the entire population of the United States. Yeah. 31 billion. If we capture 1% market share, we're going to have $6.2 million in revenues at 2 cents a quart. Norcorp. We extrude this stuff out like toothpaste. We imprint it with Gallo or whatever brand is on there, or Rothschild, whatever we want to put on the darn thing, and we end up selling a bunch of corks. So, what does Rothschild need? That's the name of this entrepreneur. To be successful, and what do entrepreneurs really, really want? Initial research, he needs $2 million to start this company. $2 million. We know it's got market potential. He needs a site, probably around 5 acres, and the multiplier is 3. Or let's make it 6 acres, that makes it easy. 2 acres for the building, 2 acres for stormwater runoff, and 2 acres for parking, turnaround, etc. So he needs about a 6-acre site. He has U.S. patents. He did the patent work himself, both utility and design. He did the work himself. What's wrong with that picture? He did the work himself. Yeah, well, he needs to have intellectual property help. He's got a business plan. He needs to fine-tune it and convince investors that he's got the big idea. And of course, he wants to hold on to how much of the stock? 51%. My dad said to me one time, he said, Rob, remember, you're going to have 5 grapes or a quarter of a watermelon. Think about that. Yeah. But entrepreneurs say, well, I got to control this thing. It's my idea. I own it. I control it. I hate authority. I have to have 51%. That is always a huge issue for entrepreneurs that need to raise capital, typically. He needs rapid prototyping so he can get some initial product out into the market to test it and see how it will sell. He needs help with exporting. China, 156 million cases of wine. China alone, 1.8 billion bottles, or $2 million in North Pork sales, could go just to China. Remember, we've got maple, good hardwood, won't wick up, won't suck up the wine out of the bottle. He needs legal help with an LLC, C Corp, and governance. He knows he might need an advisory board, but he doesn't know who to select, who's got real experience that could be relevant to his new business. He needs marketing assistance, and he wants to know how other entrepreneurs did it. Successful entrepreneurs are badgered all the time by other wannabes who want to know, how did you do this? What's the secret? And most entrepreneurs are hard-pressed to say, well, here's the secret. There is no secret. It's just this innate sense that you do stuff. But he needs help with that. Marketing assistance. He needs pro forma financial statements. First of all, he doesn't know what pro forma means. And it's a term that we all use that he doesn't get. An interesting thing in this recent recession, one of the biggest challenges that the entrepreneur community faced was they could not read their own financial statements. And until 2008, they didn't have to. They got to the end of the year, they had more money in the cigar box than they started with. It's got a great year, I'll pay myself, wonderful. They had no idea how to read financial statements. We need to focus on that area, especially with our young entrepreneurs. The Brennings of the world, no. They're light years ahead of all of us, frankly, and how they manage their finances. But it's the new guys, and the small guys, and the sole proprietorships, the non-employee companies that exist out here that need the help. He's going to employ 20 people to start. What does he need for training? All WITC. And he needs help with raw material supply chain management and logistics. In fact, Rothschild needs just about everything in accomplishing this big idea. So after he's up and running, he knows he's going to need what? Ongoing support. His $2 million will turn into $4 million, to $8 million, to $12 million, to $24 million, geometrically. When I raised $10 million, we had 5 offerings to get there. The first one was $1,750,000, and we said, that's plenty, man, that'll run us forever. Wrong. Failures, tooling, we didn't have any clues, but we figured it out. And we got a purchase order from Home Depot, and we raised $3 million in 24 hours. 2 things drive the market: greed and fear. It's that simple. And with the Home Depot purchase order, it was easy. The first $1.7 million took us 6 months. We used to call it dialing for dollars, just working the phones. But it was fun. So Rothschild has a vision for this business. He wants to sell it to Jeff Bezos. Anybody know who Jeff Bezos is? He's the president of Amazon that just bought the Washington Post. That's a scary thought, frankly. Anyway, that's his plan. So how will we respond? The true meaning of ego. Economic growth obstacle. We have silos, people. We have them in Minnesota. You have them here in Wisconsin. The key to helping Rothschild, and the key to succession management, and the key for the people that are 65 and older that want to start businesses, we've got to find ways to break down the silos. because we're always protecting. I know there are scarce resources. And I know that the government in Wisconsin, your state legislature and your governor, have cut back more and more and more and more. So we need to shift paradigms to think regionally instead of our own turf. Implement the 2-year rule. What's the 2-year rule? The 2-year rule says if it happened more than 2 years ago, you absolutely have to forget about it. We carry grudges. Anybody ever hear of Northern Wisconsin Alzheimer's? You forget everything but the grudges. Boy, we got it, don't we? Yeah, well, I remember, 2004. Well, get over it. Get over the 2-year rule. Get rid of the silos. Just open up, just tell them what you're doing. That was the single most important insight we learned at Apex. Reach out and trust somebody. And if they let you down, do it again. And do it again. And do it again. And ultimately, you will build that trust. And trust is the foundation of any productive relationship. We all know that. So we've got to get rid of those. ID the most promising opportunities. Not every entrepreneur wins. 55% fail. That's okay. In California, if you fail as an entrepreneur and you've raised capital, they give you more money. They said, hey, you learned something. Get back in the game. 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Here in the North Country, Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, we fail. Well, I could have told you that. We have to change that attitude, or we're just going to be continually shooting ourselves in the foot. So ID the most promising opportunities, and remember, we can't help everyone. And that's okay. It's called the majority fallacy. We believe we have to help everyone. We have to appeal to everyone. No, we don't. Take the most promising opportunities and make them successful. And you know how to identify those. You're all right people. You've been in this dance a long time. Take some risk, celebrate failures. Create capital. Raid funds. I mean, for God's sakes, we've got a lot of people with high net worths throughout the region. What if we put together a program to finance promising entrepreneurs based on convertible debt? Debentures. What does that mean? Okay, set a target. Let's set $500,000. We're going to pay an interest rate. We'll have draws so that we start with $100,000, then we add, but we get a commitment for $500,000. You sign up. You're in for, let's say, $100,000, and we're going to tap you 5 times at $20 grand. The challenge for investors in our region is the exit strategy. You got a great idea. I love your business, but you are a serial entrepreneur in a closely held business. How do I get my money back and when? So if we set up using convertible debt, we say we're going to loan this person $100,000, and they're going to pay us 7%, which is a whole lot better than I'm getting at the bank. Sorry, BMO, where are you? But thank you. We're going to pay you 7%, interest only, year 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to pay back the entire debt in 5 years. And if we can't, it's convertible to common stock, and the management's out. And we can set up the criteria and the tranches for management to hit. They hit them, we keep funding. They don't, we take over. And either we run it or we liquidate it. I'm just saying there are creative ways that we can put together a package to help fund these promising entrepreneurs, providing we ID the most promising opportunity. That's got to be job one. And then decide who you want and what you want. Look at our resources and say, how do we leverage our maple trees for Northcorp or whatever it happens to be? And I think we'll find ways to drive growth. Ego can mean entrepreneurial growth opportunity instead of economic growth opportunity lost. So think about what we can do. You want to grow and nurture entrepreneurs? Then think like one. Think like one. So it's a dumb idea, but it's an idea. And they'll generate other ideas. And be open to breaking down the silos and just thinking about ways that we can shift paradigms and create new ideas. You have tremendous resources here, both naturally and brain capital. Lots of it. And you've got lots of wonderful programs. I decided not to run through all of the programs that you have in funding. You know what they are, and you know how to get to them. And they're abundant. Yeah, they've been trimmed back, and I get that. And if they're gone, then let's go create our own. So we need to start thinking like entrepreneurs if we're going to help entrepreneurs. So thank you. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to take them at this time. And I appreciate your attention very much. Thank you. My pleasure.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
We were talking about silos.
Yeah.
Could you just explain just a little bit more about what you mean by those silos? You know,
Sure.
I think I catch it, but I would like
Yeah.
to expand on that.
We've got an education silo. And it's not just WITC. It's Northern College, it's UWS, it's all. They're a silo. Okay? We've got the economic development silo of people, Scotty, and here in Ashland and in Superior. And so we've got our turf. We've got our turf. Then we got the private sector silo who says, well, you're governmental. You guys don't know jack squat. We don't trust you. We don't like you. You know, that's a silo. So those are three good examples. Well, we've got to break those down. We've got to say, what kind of assets and resources do you have to bring to bear on any given problem, whatever it is. And we're going to open the cloak. We're going to open the tent. Come in, we'll talk to you. You talk to us. Let's listen intently to what is going on with these other people. And then say, okay, step back. We got all these resources. How do we use them? How do we plug it in? I'm sorry.
Oh, that's good.
I don't do short answers.
That's great.
Any other questions? Again, yes, sir.
How do we put a cloak in Obamacare?
I ain't going there. I'm out the door. By the way, I heard there are 13 Republicans in the region. Is that close? One of them died. Okay, it's 12. All right. Thank you very much.